Hello?
Greetings, Climactic. It's I, Sir Memphis, noble knight, heir to the Curry Kingdom, and I am communicating through you through this telephone device in order to tell you that you are a consorter with dragons. Therefore, you are a total heretic, and I shall find you, and when I do, I shall smite thee with my sword. Hear ye, all noble lords and ladies of the land, I welcome thee once more to an exciting day of duels and jousts here in the 100 days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Upon which every day for 100 days we shall be dueling with different decks every single day. Today is the second day of our most vaunted Waifu Week, upon which we shall be celebrating decks focused upon the fair sex. So we have ourselves today a deck that one might think, as a noble knight, I would have issues with. However, we shall be taking place with the blue-eyed white dragon monsters, which, yes, they are dragons, but these are the quote-unquote good dragons, as we did see with the noble House Centauron yesteryear. So we shall be summoning forth our many blue-eyed monsters and synchro summoning our monsters one after another until we summon forth as many mighty dragons as possible to lay waste to our opponents. So, of course, today's shout-out shall be going to the king of the JRPGs, who asked us to play today's deck. He wanted us to see that there are good dragons indeed, at least in your land. In my home, the Curry Kingdom, there's no such thing. But so it's a novelty here. So we shall be summoning forth our monsters, summoning off the combos and the wombos. What we shall and should not do shall be displayed, and we shall be having ourselves the most fortuitous time. So, of course, if you wish to know the whole deck, it shall be at the end of today's festivities. Until then, do not forget to hit the liketh, comment, and subscribeth button. And for now, let us journey forth into the duels. Well, my lords and ladies, welcome to the first joust of the day. Another day and another joust, as they say. And we shall be attempting to go first as often as we can with our deck today. Not exactly the hand that I'd hoped to get. However, we can make it work. We shall summon forth the Sage with Eyes of Blue. If this monster is summoned, I might search out a tuna monster, in which case I wish the Maiden of Blue Eyes. You know, this is basically the card that allows us to play this deck at this time, considering it is a woman, even if it turns into a dragon. But regardless, it lets me set up the True Light trap card. With this card, once per turn, I might set forth another spell from my deck. It's very much a thing with these blue-eyed monsters. They're able to search many different cards. In this case, we shall send our dragon to the graveyard, as we do, and we shall search forth our Roar of the Dragons, as well as another Maiden of White, just in case I happen to need it. In this case, let's see. We shall set forth our Spirit with Blue Eyes. So this will allow me to search forth my field spell, as well as summoning forth another monster from my deck. So we shall set forth our Mausoleum of Whites to our hand, and this is where things will become a little more complicated. Basically, what we are attempting to do is to summon as many dragons as possible, as detestable as that might sound to be, which, you know, I'm a knight, of course, I'm going to have an issue with that, but it's regardless of that. And we're going to activate, let's see here. So I activate my Spirit Dragon's ability to revive a blue-eyed monster from mine graveyard. This will activate the effect of the Maiden with Eyes of Blue to summon her forth once more. After which, we shall summon the first of our blue-eyed Spirit Dragon monsters. And we will be summoning both of these in short time indeed. In this case, let's see. I will activate the Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. But this will allow me to summon forth yet another blue-eyed monster from my deck. And thanks to my Mausoleum of White, I might summon forth another monster. In this case, I'll summon forth the Sage once more. But once per turn, it is not. And I might search out another one of my tuna monsters. This case, the Effect Veiler. It's a little fairy creature, so it's not as important, but it is something I might summon forth. Now that we've done all this, we shall summon forth another Spirit Dragon, and we shall activate both of their abilities in concert with one another. This will let me summon out two dragons from my deck, the Spiritual Dragon, as well as the Red Dragon, the Crimson Dragon itself. But when this is summoned forth, I might search out the Synchro Rumble spell. Which is quite a good card for lets me revive my tuners. And on occasion, it allows me to summon forth, well, multiple monsters indeed. I can get up to 3 Synchro monsters on my board. Now, in this case, we'll only have the 2, but it is a good start. It is a good start indeed. So we'll set our trap card upon the board. And with that, we should be quite good. Quite good indeed. Normally, our monsters would be destroyed, but thanks to this giant Stardust Dragon, my monsters shan't be destroyed by anything. So now it is up to what my opponent may do. We have ourselves a good start to our board. I have the ability to negate my opponent's cards and to protect my dragons. I can destroy my opponent with the Majesty of the White Dragons card. And upon my next turn, I might summon forth more dragons, as I am wont to do. Because I have myself the Kaiser Seahorse, king of all seahorses he is, for he is a tuna monster himself. So next turn, I will summon forth the blueeyes, summon this, get out of the Crimson Dragon again, and summon more giant dragons. That is, well, it's a weird thing for a knight to be doing. I won't deny it. Now, normally I am all about destroying dragons, as that's basically my job, after all. At the end of the day, I serve the kingdom. I slay in the name of the king, and dragons are a special thing that I do. But in this case, these dragons are alright, I suppose. I mean, the Crimson Dragon is an ally to House Centurion, therefore we must, at least tolerate them for now. And my opponent doesn't seem to have anything to stop me, because they haven't done anything yet at all. And that's understandable. Well, now that he has these 2 giant dragons to deal with. He has 2 very large monsters to deal with more upon the way. Apparently, my opponent has finally decided to make their turn. Alright. Well, I don't need to do anything to that. Delta of Invitation, you say? So this is some form of zombie deck, indeed. Which is funny to me, because the Spirit Dragon actually has an ability that prevents my opponent from summoning from their graves. So that would have been interesting to have this on the board as well, but it is neither here nor there. So yes, he will activate the Delta of Invitation, sending a zombie monster from their deck to the grave. You're very desperately low on time. You spent so much time doing not at all. So I have a feeling my opponent's not going to be doing much of anything in this turn, no matter what they do. Alright, you have your Eldlich Golden Lord. An inferior lord to the lord above, if ever there was one. So my opponent, I think, is about to run out of their time. Oh, wait, perhaps not. Perhaps not, indeed. I mean, we'll go ahead and allow this. I don't really need to interrupt my opponent just yet if I don't have to. Let's see. Because I could have negated that, but it's not important. Not important at all. Alright. Well, let's see here. What is it doing? You get a token. Very well. See, that's the thing. I am the one in complete control here. I don't need to stop my opponent if I don't want to. And like I said, he's almost out of time. So it doesn't really matter what he does. Let's see. Yes, you summoned out your giant angel creature. You summoned forth your flying Mary monster. I'm going to go ahead and negate everything you like, because that's just how this deck works at times. So we shall negate all of your cards. That way this flying ship of ghosts shall be availing us nothing. And I'm going to go ahead and destroy your field spell, because I don't like it. And because of my Jet Dragon, my cards, they've been destroyed. Well, my opponents were, so I can summon this card for free. I can summon a card for free, and my opponent's time is sadly up. But we were able to out everything they were about to do, so I think we were just in a good enough position. And I didn't even use half of mine cards. I had a negation with my Spiritual Dragon, and I could have destroyed up to 2 of my opponent's cards. That's almost their entire hand. Therefore, we call that a good win. It wasn't the best of opponents. They wasted more than half their time sitting there idle by. But regardless of that, we were able to summon out our dragons. So let us proceed into the second joust today. Hopefully, a far more capable opponent will appear before us. Well, my lords and ladies, we're going into the second joust of the day. And we can go first or second, so I am fine with either or. We shall be opening as well. Very well. Let's see what we have for a hand here. Very well. We shall summon forth the Sage with the Eyes of Blue. Now, it's best when you start with the Maiden, but if you don't have the Maiden at first, you can simply search it with this. It's quite good indeed. So we shall activate the Maiden once more, and this will proceed similarly to the last duel. For while this deck does have different combos and different wombos, it also does the same thing over and over quite handily as well. So we shall activate our Wishes of the Eyes of Blue, discarding the Jet Dragon. This will allow me to search for... So I'll get my trap card. And in this particular instance, we shall add the Maiden as well. Simply to have another one in case I need it. Very good. So we shall now summon forth our spirit with the eyes of blue. Very good. And we shall use its ability to search forth our field spell. Let's see. Let me think here. I think I can make this fairly work well. We shall activate our Maiden of White. And we shall use its ability, because the more blue-eyes monsters we have in our grave, the better. So we shall go ahead and do that, and we shall activate our Spirit Dragon's ability to revive our blue-eyed dragon. That will also summon forth our Maiden. And this way I'll be able to summon, once again, 2 of our synchro dragons, as we wish to do. So we shall summon forth a spiritual dragon. And let's see here. I shall activate now the Roar of the Eyes of Blue spell, yes. This way I can send yet another blue eyes to my board. And I still have my additional normal summon, so let's go ahead and do that. Very good indeed. And there's other things I could summon right now, but I don't need to do so. It would be very tempting, truly indeed. Let's see here. We will use the Dictator monster next turn, I feel. It is a very good card, and I can make very good use out of it. But right now, I need other things. So we shall summon forth our dragons once more, as we shall do every time that I have a turn. Let's see here. A difficult decision to be made for certain. I don't have any other cards that mention Mind Blue Eyes except for Mind Trap. I could summon a 3rd Synchro monster. I'm just not certain that that's the right thing to do at this particular junction. But I could do it. It is a possibility for certain. But then again, is that not the name of these 100 days? To show off as many different combination of cards as possible? It is. But with any luck, my opponent will survive this first turn. And we shall end our turn for now and see what comes of it. It's not as powerful as a board as last time, but it is close. It is quite close. I still have Mind Dragon. Let's see. Photon Sanctuary, you say. Very well. You've summoned forth 2 Shining Ball creatures. You cannot summon except for light monsters, I see. Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, you say. Very well. What does it do? Battle as a monster, target a monster, banish this card and that monster. Very well. Fascinating indeed. We shall wait and see what my opponent brings to us. Very well. And then that monster will activate its ability as well, you say. This is fine. My opponent can have multiple monsters. There's nothing wrong with that. I have done the same. Let's see what else they can do. So you can summon yet another creature, you say. Very well. What does this do? Contribute this card to add a galaxy card from thine deck to thine hand, you say. I feel that I should stop at least some of this. So let us negate the effect of the Galaxy Wizard. And this will also destroy my opponent's Photon Dragon. That will also revive my Jet Dragon on top of everything. Very good. So now we have ourselves an even better board than we had before. And he can revive his Photon Dragon. I don't have a problem with this. I could do something about it, but I don't need to. Quite good indeed. Let's see. You can only summon light monsters. That's the only thing stopping you now. However, I have prevented you from destroying mine other cards thanks to mine Jet Dragon. I still have the negation off of mine Spiritual Dragon, and I still have mine Trap card. So I'm in a very good position here. Let's see here. Your monster is slightly stronger than mine, you say. Very well. So what does it do? Let's see. When the opponent monster activates its effect, attach material. Better. I can work with this. I can work with that quite well indeed. Alright, so let us boldly stride forth and activate the effect of... Let's see. That is a difficult question here. Let's see. I shall activate my Synchro Rumble spell to revive myself a Maiden with Eyes of Blue. That way I might Synchro summon more cards. Let's see. I shall negate your card's effect, sir. Which you will then use your monster's effect to negate me. However, I shall then negate you again. I shall negate all the negations so that both players may play the game. Thank you. There you go. And I shall destroy your monster because, well, I can't destroy it, can I? It can't be destroyed by card effects. Regardless. Regardless, indeed. Let's see here. Alright, so the Emperor monster will revive itself. That's quite fine. Let's see. 8, 9. I don't have the levels of cards I'd normally like to have. But that's quite alright, I think. Let us use the True Light Trap card. And I shall revive one of my blue-eyed monsters. Very good. And let's see. I will use the effect of the Wishes of Eyes of Blue now. With this card, I might place upon my field this Neo Dragon. For this creature's on the board, it will protect my cards from being targeted while it's in the grave. And in this case, so many options. I think I shall simply battle right now. I think that will work just fine. So we shall attack my opponent with everything we have. And I could return his cards to his hand, but I don't really need to do that. So we shall lay into him with everything we have. This will be just short of game right here. My opponent will be left limping, indeed. He has about 100 life points left, which is fine by me. So, because now I can go into even more cards. So, haha to you, sir. I shall summon forth the Azure Eyes Silver Dragon, which is a very nice card. It will protect my monsters from being destroyed for a turn. As well, every standby phase, I might revive another dragon. So it's quite good indeed. Let's see. Monster Reborn, you say? Alright, you shall revive a monster. Let's see. Oh, but my opponent has surrendered. Ha! Oh, what was the point of playing this? You might as well have surrendered earlier. But good effort. Good effort indeed. So we've proven the stronger dragon. He had dragons, but mine were the better. So let us boldly stride forth. We have time for one more duel today. We're trying to keep these a little shorter than the other day. So let us go for one more. And we shall see exactly what we have to say. Well, my lords and ladies on YouTube, it is time for the third joust of the day. As we call it, it is the fighting third. Although in any joust there'll be fighting, of course. That's just how jousts are. But regardless, let us go boldly forth and strike our opponent low in our final duel. Let us see here. Well, it is a hand. It's not a perfect hand, but it's a hand I can work with. We shall use our Wishes of the Eyes of Blue. We shall search forth our Maiden. And in this case, yes, we shall get the Roar of the Eyes of Dragons. Indeed. You know, some might ask, Sir Memphis, have you forgiven dragons? They have done you such good work today. Of course not. One would not forgive dragons. That's a silly thing to do. Regardless, let's activate our Mausoleum of White spell. And let me think about this. That would summon another dragon. That will summon another dragon. It's not quite the perfect hand here, but I'll make it work one way or the other. So summon our blue-eyed dragon. Our Maiden shall be revived from the grave, as such. And I shall use the effect of mine Wishes of the Eyes of Blue to give my monsters a little more protection, as it were. So we shall set forth our fusion monster to our card. Let's see here. This does not count as a Blue Eyes monster. That is the one thing. But let us go forth and send another blue-eyed monster to the graveyard for now. That way I have that going for me. Let me think. This would summon another blue-eyed monster. That is for certain. But that won't do me much good. So it's not what I would like to do. I think we'll have to go for something different this time, which is fine by me. I wanted to do something different, so that's what we shall do. We shall summon our Spirit Dragon and simply end our turn. This way, we can see what the dragon in and of itself does. Now, my opponent shan't be able to summon out multiple creatures in a turn, and I can simply select this monster, remove it, and summon something else if I need to. So we shall see where this shall go. Bit touch and go. I'm much more preferring to have two of these creatures on the board. But it's neither here nor there. What is this? Let's see here. Reveal a monster. Send a monster. Then discard the revealed monster. Add Fallen of Al-Baz, you say. Very well. If I remember correctly, the Fallen of Albaz is a fusion monster. Or rather, it allows my opponent to fuse with my monsters or something like that. It is something to that effect. Something to that effect. Very well. Your bestial monster. I do remember how those work, for I'm playing them as well. So we shall see where this goes. A difficult situation, perhaps. But we shall overcome. We shall overcome. So this is going to summon out your monster, the Guiding Quem, some maiden yourself. Very well. So search out your monster, as you're wont to do. And now this is going to send another card to the graveyard. I see. Let's see here. So activate the effect of my monster to negate the effect of your monster that is in your graveyard. For my dragon allows me to do this. I do not want cards reviving themselves from the Yard of Grave. And now my opponent will target one of my cards and try to remove it. In this case, I shall simply revive the blue-eyed white dragon, so it does not get removed from the graveyard. As such. Very good. Very good indeed. So we've stopped my opponent from doing at least some of what they're attempting to do. I'm not 100% certain I can stop everything, but I can certainly try. So let's bring back our Maiden with the Eyes of Blue and see what comes of it. We shall see. I wish I could synchro summon right now, but unfortunately I cannot. That would be nice, but it is not something I'm able to do. Regardless, depending on what my opponent does with that field now. Alright, what does this monster do? The Jester of Despias. Adding a branded card, you say? I shall activate my Spirit Dragon's ability here. I think now is as good a time as any, and I shall summon forth one of my two ultimate Spirit Dragons. That way, even though this monster will be removed from my board in the end of phase, I can negate one of my opponent's cards. For if I remember correctly, my opponent only has one of that spell. So this should be good. This should be quite good indeed. Alright, so now what can you do? That's right, I have summoned forth the Spirit Dragon. You're going to have to try something a little more clever to stop that. So I shall stop your fusion spell. Very good. Alright, so now what can he do? We'll see about that. One good thing is... he can recover his branded fusion spell. Luckily, he can only play it once per turn. Therefore, he can't play it again. But now we need to do something about that on our next turn. That is the one thing we must do. But that shouldn't be that big of a problem. He can't play that. He cannot use his bestial monster again. So really he only has 3 cards to work with. 3 cards is all they have to work with, and we should be good. Very well. Very well indeed. It's a shame that my spiritual dragon must go, although it is a dragon. I'm never quite sad to see a dragon go, of course not. But in this case, it would be nice to keep it around, but it's neither here nor there. So yes, his monster will activate an effect here, and that will summon forth a monster. And yes, the Fallen of Albaz creature, yes. So now he'll be able to fusion summon using mine dragons, which is not great. But we shall see. You're using the monster who's going to be leaving the field anyway. A foolish move indeed. Very well. So you've summoned forth a dragon no matter what. But that's fine. It's quite alright. Quite alright. Alright, so this is the one that lets you... and then that will activate, yes, of course. But yes, this is the one that allows him to fusion summon again. The whole concept of monsters being able to fusion summon other monsters is ridiculous to me. Like, what is the point of playing polymerization? We will never know, for my opponent's time hath run dry. Well, that's what you get, I suppose. You took too long to come up with your plays. Well, I don't need any time to do such. Therefore, it is a win in my book. Maybe not the most honorable win, but my opponent was playing these dragons as well, and these aren't sanctioned by the church or by anyone indeed, so therefore, it counts. So let us go forth into the end of screen where we should talk more about today's deck. My lords and ladies on YouTube, our Blue-Eyes White's Dragon deck was quite successful indeed. We were able to summon forth our synchro monsters, and my opponents, well, they didn't really know what to do with our deck. Our deck was quite potent, and we were able to stop our opponent from doing whatever they wanted to do, and we were prepared to lay them low, but unfortunately, my opponents never lasted that long. Could probably do a fourth duel today, but unfortunately we are short on time, and I must prepare for the next few days of the waifu week. Therefore, it is regrettable we only have time for the 3 duels, but perhaps tomorrow will be a bit different, for it is a deck that is preparing to win our duels in as short a time as possible, for we are playing, I believe it is a deck based around this monster, the Nurse Reficule, some sort of physician. So that'll be tomorrow's deck, but for today, the Blue-Eyes deck did quite well. We didn't get to summon out some of our more colorful monsters, such as the Chaos Angel, or this giant mechanical monstrosity, or this thing, which is definitely not sanctioned by the church. But we were able to summon out most everything else. Therefore, a successful day indeed. So, I hope thou, my lords and ladies, enjoyed today's festivities. If thou did, don't forget to hit the liketh, comment, and subscription button, for they are most important for joining the ranks of the Curry Kingdom. Therefore, here is the deck profile for today. Take it forth and win yourselves glory and honor for the king. So for our main deck, we play 3 copies of the Blue-Eyes White Dragon. We play 1 of this giant rock monster, 1 of the Jet Dragon, which is an odd-looking dragon indeed. We have 1 of each of these bisteel monsters, like the Druid's Worm, the Magda Hunt, and the Bald Dragon. We have 2 copies of the Kaiser Seahorse, king of all seahorses. We have 2 copies of the Dictator of the D's, 1 copy of the Ash Blossom, 3 copies of the Assault Synchron monster, which sadly we didn't get to see today, but it is cool. It's a very interesting card indeed. We have 3 copies of the Sage with the Eyes of Blue, 3 copies of the Maiden of White. These are our main cards to get ourselves started, of course. 1 of the Droll and Lockbird, 3 copies of the Effect Vela, 1 Roar of the Eyes of Blue, 1 part of the Avarice, a useful card for recovering our Spirit Dragon so we can keep doing them again and again. 3 copies of the Wishes of the Eyes of Blue, 1 Synchro Rumble, 1 copy of the Tuning Spell, 1 Call of the Grave, 1 Colorasa Designator, 1 Mausoleum of Flight, 3 of the Infinite Imperms, 1 Majesty of the White Dragons, and 1 copy of the True Light. As for our extra deck, we have 1 of this giant dragon, 1 of this giant dragon, 1 of, we have 2 copies of this giant spirit dragon, 1 giant red dragon, we have the evil looking dragon, the chaotic angel, we have this giant red dragon again, we have this giant mechanical monstrosity, we have our As Your Eyes dragon, 2 of our spirit dragons, 1 copy of the Photon Lord, and 1 copy of the bluer dragon. It's slightly more blue than the others. Now, as for other cards you can play in this deck, there are many. There are things like the Ultimate Zolk, and I believe you could play in here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where, but you can summon this creature. We also have things like the Bisteel Synchro as well. We have more Chaos Angel if you prefer. We have 1 for 1 if you don't want to be playing your Part of Avarice or something. You can use this to summon out your level 1 monsters. We also have things like the Return of the Dragon Lords to revive our dragons and provide them protection. As well as the Ultimate Creature of Destruction, which of course protects a monster from being affected by anything. Therefore, it is a good card to consider. Regardless, thank thee once more, my lords and ladies, for joining us for another day of fine festivities. And I shall greet thee again on the morrow for more duels and jousts in the name of the king. Until next time, Sir Memphis, noble knight errant of the Curry Kingdom, bid thee a fair day.